Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking and viewing. It means a lot that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And today we are continuing our new series called Stalking 42, where we look at one Survivor 42 cast member every day until we get through all 18 cast members. As always, we will look at their pregame interviews as well as their social medias and EW bios and try to get a sense for how they did on the game. And today we're looking at Jackson Fox, a healthcare worker from Houston, Texas, who is the only openly trans person to ever be on the show. He's on the Orange Taku tribe, and I'm really interested to see really who this guy is. And so let's just look at some of his pregame interview clips. I'll play maybe a minute and a half of it. So here we go.
My name is Jackson Fox. I grew up in Pasadena, Texas, and I am a hospital transporter. Survivor makes you feel like anything is possible. I think you go in as one person, but you leave a completely different person. I think it makes you a better person. A life experience that has prepared me for this is learning how to be on my own after I came out. I'm a transgendered man, and I think if you can go through the process of pretty much revitalizing your entire life and bearing it all, I think you can go on Survivor and bear it all as well. I want that to be a part of who I am because it made me who I am. I think they're gonna underestimate me at first, but once they get to know me, I'm gonna win people over, slowly but surely. I get along with a tree stump, so I think the Southern charm will win over. And I know it sounds bizarre. I want to play honorable. I want people to say I treated people with respect. But at the same time, I want to be able to go through a really big blindside. Hopefully it's not on you, but you want to see one. I was a healthcare manager, and that I worked, my job pretty much was to schmooze and to get 40 plus employees to do exactly what I needed when I needed. So I'm very much a charmer, but I'd rather not be the first thing that they notice about me. I like to keep that just a little bit hidden. My name is Jackson Fox, and I will win Survivor because this was my destined time to come. It's been 10 years in the making, so yeah, this is definitely my time.
So I definitely say that the two videos where he specifically answers questions, about his game, I believe one of them is why will you win, and the other one is what do you not want the other players to know. I think that he kind of gave non-answers for those, saying that he doesn't want the players to know that he's a charmer and that he's going to win because he really really wants it, which are kind of like non-answers. But I think that his 1 minute personalized video really gives us a view into who he is as a player, really telling us that he's going to play the game in a non-strategical way, or at least not an actively strategical way, which I think is obviously a mistake. I mean, I know everyone's kind of tired of these super fan Adam Klein types of players coming into the game, but I feel like that's the way to go nowadays when the game is so complicated and has so many elements. I feel like for him to come in and try not to play the game that hard, or try not to backstab people that hard, or try to play a quote-unquote loyal game, that's just not going to work. You're going to need to go after your alliance members sooner or later, and that's just my personal opinion. But I will say, as a person, his videos seem to be like pretty cool. He seemed like a pretty cool person, like someone who is like an actual nice person, not like a dick. And so I definitely can appreciate that. But we'll just have to see throughout the rest of the stuff that we look at. Firstly, being his Instagram. So here is his Instagram. It's essentially, I guess the best word to describe it is a bunch of pictures. He has 2,850 pictures, which is ridiculous. He has twice the amount of followers as he does pictures, which I think is kind of crazy. But yeah, he has almost 3,000 pictures on Instagram, which is nuts. It's mostly just selfies of him. He loves posting selfies. So it's him. There really isn't much here. I'm trying to find his Survivor announcement post where he announces that he's going to be on Survivor, which I think should have come out. It's official. I'm a castaway on 42. It's gonna be one epic season. Watch me in the Survivor CB. Okay, so this is very iffy for me, because on one hand I'm saying great, he's excited about it. Obviously, he seems to be like, it's gonna be an epic season, but the fact that he's only made one post about it, and it's a very brief post, and it's not like a very extravagant, unlike like someone like Nora did before 39 dropped. She made this like 3 big extravagant posts with a bunch of paragraphs. Now I'm not saying that you need to be like Nora for me to think that you made it far on a season, but for me, like one post where it's like 2 sentences, like to me that just does not scream like I made it far in this season. But what really helps him out, in my eyes, is the fact that he said it's going to be one epic season. How would he know that if he didn't make jury at least? But maybe he's just saying that because the pre-merge was just crazy, and so he just assumed that the post-merge would also be crazy. I really don't know. Okay, so as we scroll farther, again, it's just more pictures of him. I guess this is what he used to look like, and this is what he looks like now. That's a big change. Let's see. Yeah, it's just kind of more pictures of him. He's very open with his body on social media. He has no problem sharing that. Yeah, it's honestly, guys, it's pretty boring. I've gone through his social media before for past videos, and it's overall just it's a lot of him. It's just a lot of him. Like, I mean, he has a picture like you know, like who posts this on social media? But in his underwear. Okay, let's get off that. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just kind of boring. Good for him that he's comfortable posting his body, but yeah, I mean, there's not really much noteworthy things to talk about other than the fact that he's very open with his transition and he's very open with his body, and his announcement was kind of meh, as far as being on Survivor. Now, this is usually the part of the video where we would move on to Twitter, but the fact that he doesn't have a Twitter hurts that because he doesn't have a Twitter. I've looked very deep and far for it. If somebody can put it in the comments, then by all means. I screwed up and I couldn't find it, but I did some pretty good research and I have yet to find it. He was never added in any of the posts on Twitter of anybody talking about him, whether it was on the show or just random fans. So I don't think that he has a Twitter. If he does, I'm sure we're not. I mean, there's no way that he has time to post this much on Twitter and this much on Instagram. And so I'm sure he spends a lot more time on Instagram, even if he does have Twitter. And so instead of going on his Twitter, let's read his parade.com interview that he got before the season. And so here is it. It's basically just him answering questions from Mike Bloom. And so the first question is, why are you here on Survivor? He said that he applied 10 years out of the blue, and then they just contacted him to be on 42, which is kind of cool that he applied 10 years ago, and then all of a sudden they just call him up 10 years later and are like, okay, you're a good fit for this season. He said that he started watching Survivor off of a dare and just kind of got hooked, and that he couldn't go back and watch old seasons, so that he's only watched, from that season to now live. He said a winner that he could identify with is Adam Klein, because Adam had such a passion for the game, and that a loser would be Suri, because she just loved Suri's attitude and how she approached the game. One life experience that he says has prepared him for the game is transitioning and being trans, because he feels like that's the hardest thing that he'll ever do. He said that people may perceive him as weak at the beginning, and that he's a big observer, and that he doesn't like to rush into making decisions or big moves very, very quickly. He said that the thing that players could dislike about him is the fact that he's very likable, and that is also a very bad thing that you need to keep a secret, because people will go after the more likable people in the game. He said that he desires a loyal and transparent alliance member, and he also said that he wants them to be honest, because he feels like he is also that way, and so he wants a partner that is also like that in the game. He said that for a celebrity loved one's visit, he would like to have Abraham Lincoln come out, which I thought was pretty funny. He said Abraham Lincoln is badass. He says that would be the best thing ever. He'd be cool and quiet, but you know that he's the man, which I think is kind of surprising. I really wouldn't expect that answer from him, but it's a very, very cool answer. And then he said that his moment that he'll look back on if he needs motivation in the game is when his mom accepted him for who he was. So actually a pretty decent interview. Again, he's not like relying on his whole transgender thing, just to be his whole personality, but it is obviously a part of him, but he's not like making it like the only thing about him, which I can definitely respect. Moving on to his EW bio, where he essentially, I mean, we've already gone through this if you've seen my 42 cast assessment video, but he's from Pasadena, Texas, but he now lives in Houston. He's a healthcare worker. He likes puzzling, weightlifting, and doll walking. Speaking of weightlifting, he loves to post pictures of that on his Instagram. He says that he's kind, dedicated, and assertive. That he hates people who are unorganized, and he does not like people who don't have schedules. He also does not like when people don't get to the point He said that he's most proud of starting his own company. He talks about how he's transgender. He says that his hero is his mom, and that she had grace until the end. So obviously, as his mom passed away, he said that the past survivor that he would want to play the game like is Elaine, which is an interesting choice considering that he knows that being likable is a bad thing, because that's literally what Elaine got voted out for, and that's like the downfall of Elaine in the game. And he said that he knows that it will be mentally, physically, and emotionally very, very hard, and that he's a survivor in life, and that this will help him in the game to persevere when the tough gets going. And overall, for me, I think Jackson is someone who has a decent chance at like maybe making it far, but I just don't see him winning. I think that personally, with the way that he's playing the game, it's either going to be he goes out pre-merge because he's not connected, or that he's just dragged all the way through the game as a GOAT because he's obviously not going to play that aggressive. People who don't go in saying that they're going to play aggressive are probably going to play like passive. To me, his whole idea of, well, I'm going to play nice, but then I also want to be in a blind side, that's just not going to work. You're either going to have to play very aggressive or very passive. There's or like right in the middle, but there is no like very, very passive, but then I go over to aggressive and then go back to passive. The jury's not going to respect that, and they're going to see it more as a flop instead of being like a move, because they're going to see you as more of an emotional player, a passive player who then just decided very erratically to flip on somebody and then flip right back to the other side. So to me, I think that his only way that he can win this game is playing aggressively, and that's obviously not something that he wants to do. So I think that there's going to be a really big issue with him, and I think that if he wants to win the game, he's going to have to change up his play style. And yeah, that's it, guys. That's what I think of Jackson. I think that Jackson's definitely an interesting casting choice. I'm actually surprised he's a lot cooler than I thought he was going to be. But again, we haven't seen the season, so let's just see how it goes. But again, guys, none of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm just a weird guy speaking into a weird microphone. And if that's, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.